serious, it's fun, it's your Catholic drive time.
With Joe McLean and Emily Alcaraz.
Our guest, Nick Loeb, is a director. He's a writer and a producer of this brand new film called Roe V Wade, which seems incredibly intriguing to me personally, and I'm very excited to have you on, Nick. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for being on. All right, so tell us, before we jump into the film itself, I know it's going to be intriguing because of some information that most people probably don't know is revealed in the film. But give us the super elevator pitch about your background, especially your work in Hollywood.
Yeah, I've been in Hollywood for over 25 years, started working at Universal, mostly been sort of acting and producing. This is the first time I've written and directed a film. And that's pretty much it. I'm 45 years old, grew up in the Northeast. Most of my friends are pro-choice and liberal.
Which is why it's intriguing. How does a guy growing up in a very, very liberal, very pro-choice part of the world, living and breathing in Hollywood professionally, make a film called Roe V Wade?
Well, funnily enough, when I first brought the idea to me, my first reaction was not, why would I make this movie? Is like, why should I make this movie? Because I immediately thought it would be a pro-choice movie, right? I think when every Americans hear Roe v. Wade, they first think about a woman's right to have an abortion. And so, I like to say Roe v. Wade is the movie that everybody has heard of, but nobody knows anything about. And so for me, when I started to learn more about it, it was like, wow, this is not just some, boring courtroom pro-choice movie. This is like, JFK, conspiracy, Oliver Stone, lies, manipulation. This is going to be entertaining. And there was a pathway to coincide with my beliefs. And no, to answer your question, I didn't grow up pro-life and very religious. I'm still not very religious. But, And I was taught, because I'm 45, as I said before, I was taught when a woman gets pregnant, there's just a clump of cells. That was my generation. And I was involved in several abortions myself when I was in my 20s. And then as technology got more accessible and you could hear baby's heartbeat, you could see babies sucking their thumbs in the first trimester, and you realize, oh, wait, that's not a clump of cells. That's actually a baby and a human being. How could you do that? And then, and through my 30s, I went through a conversion and became pro-life. And so, and very similar, when we made the movie, we needed to tell the movie through the eyes of a protagonist. And we used Dr. Bernard Nathanson, who you, I'm sure, know, but maybe your audience doesn't know, we can explain later, to tell the story. And he came from both sides. He was an abortionist, and then, very similar to me, later in life, became pro-life.
I'll never forget watching the film that Dr. Bernard Nathanson made of an actual abortion happening. It was called The Silent Scream. The first time I saw that, I was utterly horrified and shocked. I don't think I slept for 3 days after watching that. It was so shocking to me. What was your experience?
Well, I only watched The Silent Scream, recently because it was part of my research. I didn't see it growing up. It was a documentary that was made in the 80s. For your audience who doesn't know who Dr. Bernard Nathanson, he was the biggest abortionist in American history, oversaw over 70,000 abortions, one of the founders of the National Association to Repeal Abortion Laws, and worked hand in hand with Planned Parenthood to get Roe to the courts and passed. And in the 1974, when sonogram technology got better, he performed an abortion on a new sonogram technology, and ended up converting, saw that he was killing babies, and ended up converting to become pro-life. And then he, in 1889, made this famous documentary called, as you just mentioned, called The Silent Scream, where he performed an abortion under a sonogram. And the whole world sort of melted down when he did this. And so, it's pretty disturbing. We've become very much farther with technology since 1989. I think, for me, with new technology today, that even looks really rough, and you can see what's going on. But today with 4D technology, there's a trend today coming out of universities. Kids today are trending more pro-life than ever, and it's because of their access to technology for, being able to see babies in 4D today. So, we've gone way beyond The Silent Scream today.
Was that the general attitude on the set? Was everybody involved with the program generally pro-life?
Nope. Not at all. Again, it's mostly Hollywood. I would say the majority of the people on the set were pro-choice. including a lot of our conservative actors on set that you'd be surprised may be conservatives out in the world, but are pro-choice conservatives, which are a lot of conservatives from, LA, New York, Miami. They're pro-choice conservatives. And so, I think, some of the older people were more professional about it, and some of the younger people not so professional about it.
Nick Loeb is our guest. He's the director of a film called Roe V Wade. It is available now. RoeVWadeMovie.com is the website. We're going to link to it, but we're going to take a break in just a couple of minutes from now. Nick, you have a pretty incredible lineup of actors here. Now, you and I are similar in age, in vintage. So, I mean, we recognize a lot of these people. John Schneider, of course, Dukes of Hazzard, John Voight, incredible. Stacey Dash. I mean, there's just some great names here. How did you go about lining up this cast?
Yeah, I mean, we wrote a great script. It wasn't, a cheesy faith-based movie. And I think a lot of these actors were excited to sink their teeth into a historical piece and get to play, legal legends, at this time, whether, a lot of these guys play Supreme Court justices. And like you, I mean, for me, it was so much fun to show up on set. And again, Dukes of Hazzard, Steve Guttenberg from Police Academy, Robert Davi from Goonies. I mean, it was like, Joey Lawrence from Blossom, Jamie Kennedy from Scream. And so I think a lot of these guys, abortion was not an issue for them. I mean, they were excited to play historical figures and roles, and that's how we ended up getting that kind of cast. I mean, the actors love to be able to play historical figures, and at one time in history, all those Supreme Court justices were super famous.
I'm very curious, Nick. How did you get this thing made in Hollywood? It seems crazy. How did you raise the funds? What was it like trying to raise funds, and what was it like trying to get distribution? Did you have any major roadblocks, Nick Loeb?
Yeah, I mean, from day one. Fundraising was the most difficult. Listen, it's hard to raise money for any independent film. I had to go outside of Hollywood. I thought it was, the disappointing part of it, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was going to be, for this movie, actually really easy to raise funds because I could just go to the pro-life community. I mean, I thought the pro-life community and the conservative community would want to see a movie about Roe v. Wade.
Not the case?
Nope. I think the conservative community, and this isn't, I'm going to say this is why we lose all the time. We don't spend money on pop culture. We spend money on, maybe documentaries, galas, walks, preaching to ourselves. We've only had one person on the conservative side who've ever learned how to use pop culture, and he won, and that was Donald Trump. and that's how you have to win today. You have to understand how to utilize pop culture, and our side just doesn't do that. That was challenging. We've gone through challenges all the way through to having major organizations try to stop this film from coming out, to even today, big companies trying to bury the film. And so, like Amazon, day one when it came out, you couldn't find it on Amazon unless you had a special link. It was unsearchable.
Wow.
Then I went on Fox News, complained about it. An hour later, it was up on Amazon. They buried it. And then they started removing all of our from on the online sites that they own. They started removing all of the movie stills, changing the order of the cast. Like, really? They're blatantly messing with the picture. It's up on Comcast, but it's not on the 65 new releases they have. You actually have to type in the actual name of the movie on Comcast.
Wow.
AT&T, has Uverse and DirecTV. They were supposed to put it up Friday. They have yet to put it up. They keep on telling us it's up, but it's not up. And if you go, you can see that they're one of the biggest donors in the last 40 years to Planned Parenthood. And we don't say, not very positive things about Planned Parenthood, the movie. And so, it's been really a struggle. And we've had some neutral sites. I mean, interestingly, like, Google, and, if you go to Google Play, we're literally like the fourth movie in new releases. If you go to Vudu, we're like on the second row, like eighth movie in new releases. But if you go to Amazon or iTunes, we're like movie 89 or 153. And I get confused about all these algorithms because, they say, oh, it's the algorithm, right?
Right.
Well,
Sure it is.
Like I understand, like, okay, in one site, they all have an algorithm. It's number 3 on one site, number 7 in another site, and number 2 on another site. I would assume all algorithms watching people look at movies are relatively similar. They're off by plus or minus 5. Not you're like 3 on one site and 89 on another. I think there's like, people messing around with them. And that's what I'm dealing with today. So, these companies are either what I guess the term is shadow banning.
Yeah.
Up there, hey, we're up there, but you can't really find it or see it.
Well, Nick, I was looking at your website and I noticed that there's an opportunity for people to create watch parties. Could you tell us a little bit about how to watch it? Because I have a lot of friends and family that I know would love to watch this movie. Would it be like a good idea to get a party together and pay the $500 to start a huge watch party, or do we just go to Amazon Prime, type it in? What do you think?
In either one, I mean, the website with the watch parties were really created specifically before the movie. So a lot of people who wanted to see the movie before it came out over the last 2 months were doing those watch parties. We had several hundred around the country. A lot in person, but I would say the majority online and virtual watch parties because, with COVID and everything. There are some people that are still doing it this month. I think they want to do it for fun, or churches want to get together and promote the movie. Either way is probably, easier just to get everyone you want, just to go to Amazon or go to iTunes or Google Play and watch the movie and spread the word and post it on their Facebook would be great. But, if people are that motivated or they need to get out of their house during COVID to do something, or their churches want to have an event, or if you're looking for an event for a fundraiser. I know a lot of guys that we haven't had a fundraiser all year. Maybe we, instead of, a bunch of people getting on Zoom and asking for money, maybe we can show the movie and then ask for money.
Now, one of the things that it's really hard to do today is just have a conversation with someone with a different opinion. And that's what I'm so grateful about with this movie, is that it's going to start conversations. So what kind of conversations have you seen? Like, is there dialogue coming out of this? And what are the fruits of those conversations? Like, have you seen conversions?
Yeah, that's great that you say that. And one of the things that I wanted to do with this movie, and I think what our side always does wrong, not to consistently criticize our side, but, we tend to vilify the other side, call them evil, horrible people, baby killers. That's not going to change hearts and minds, right? There's an old expression: you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And so I didn't want to make a movie like that. And yes, because of the movie, I would say what I like to call people the pro-choice light, right? People who are pro-choice, but they're like, okay, they're not involved in the movement and maybe haven't even thought about it that much, which is really the majority of our country, to be quite honest, right? I mean, really, it's, we're 50-50 between pro-life and pro-choice, but the majority of pro-choicers are not the women in Hollywood saying, shout your abortion. I can't wait to have my 4th abortion. I mean, that's very far and few between. The majority of people take it very seriously. And I think they're open to having conversations. This film has done a lot of it. We even had one of our actors convert during the making of the movie.
Wow.
I can't even tell you who that is because he still wants a career in Hollywood. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the show, most of my friends are liberal. And I said, I've had a few friends who've watched the film who've either changed their mind or have taken tremendous pause. And I tell everybody at the end of the day, if you walk away from the film and you're still pro-choice, I'm okay with that. The only thing I want someone to get out of the movie, if there only is one takeaway from the whole movie, is that life begins at conception. And you see this with sonogram technology, right? A woman goes in for a sonogram, 80% of them an abortion, 80% of them who have to hear a sonogram don't have the abortion. So if you can walk away and understand that there's a baby there, which a lot of people still don't know that yet, especially my generation, that's all I ask. So when you walk away with it and say, okay, I'm still pro-choice, but oh my God, you really have to kill a baby. And if you start to think that way, maybe you'll talk more about it. Maybe you'll convert more people. Maybe you'll change your mind down the road, but at least you're taking it seriously. And that's what the conversation we need to have. And that's what these conversations are starting. No, people who are losing their minds on the left are not going to have that conversation, but you can't change everyone's mind. But
Nick Loeb is our guest. He is the writer and director, producer of Roe V Wade. RoeVWadeMovie.com is the website. We have about 4 minutes left in our conversation with Nick Loeb. Now, I got to say, I love movies. I'm a movie buff. I like watching movies as a hobby, and I particularly love historical movies, especially ones based on true stories. And so I haven't seen your film yet, in all honesty, but I've watched the extended trailer, and I will be watching this with my wife, this weekend. I really thought the costume design, the sets, you filmed in some great places. You really gave this film an epic feel to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. From that perspective, how important was it? How hard was it to try to tell this story? The other thing I thought was very fascinating is, unlike the vast majority of Hollywood films, your film comes with a fact checker already built in. So tell me about some of those qualities of your film. We have about 3 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, we constantly got criticized. I quite honestly, on both sides, on the pro-choice and the pro-life side, people would see our film and like, Nick, you made that up. You embellished that. That didn't happen. I grew up during that time. I knew it. So I just said, we literally had written. I read 40 books, court transcripts. Literally, half the dialogue is word for word what these people have said. And the old expression, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So we put together a fact check sheet on our website. Like, if there's a scene that you don't believe, you think we made up, you can go to the fact check site and see the source, whether it's a letter, conversation, a speech, a book. And no, we did not use Wikipedia as any of our sources.
Snopes? Clearly Snopes. You've used Snopes, right? No? Yes?
Exactly.
No?
Well, and so Snopes has tried to discredit our movie already. And we had to bring in the actual autobiography. I mean, the Margaret Sanger autobiography. Anyway, so, and so that's, and yes, having the authenticity was important to us, having the feeling. We shot in Louisiana, most of the movie in Louisiana. I know we shot Louisiana for New York and DC. We did shoot 2 days in New York and 1 day in DC. And we have incredible big shots. And, I don't come from the faith world. I come from the Hollywood world. I wanted this look to make it look like a big Hollywood movie. So, it could reach across the aisle and have a wide appeal and have big production value. And, most of all the money went into the sets, the costumes, the designs, the period. I mean, I think at a minimum, even the people who have criticized us for the movie at least have complimented us on the production value. I mean, we made, a movie that looked $20 million for $6 million. So.
Well, praise be to God, Nick Loeb. We're very grateful for you being on our program today, talking about your film, Roe V Wade. The movie you can find at RoeVWadeMovie.com, RoeVWadeMovie.com. We'll link to it as well. It's universally found in so many locations, so please search for it, watch it, tell a friend, watch with friends. That would be amazing. Nick Loeb, God bless you. God love you, brother. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for the first hour of Catholic Drive Time. Praise be to God. Great show. We're going to be posting that conversation with Nick later today on our social media platforms. Hopefully, you'll be able to find them. You can always find them linked up at grnonline.com/CDT. But in the next hour, we're giving out prizes in our Fear and Trembling game show. Join us. We'd love to have you. Until then, God love you.
Thank you for joining us on Your Catholic Drive Time, where it is our pleasure to keep you informed and inspired.
Join us Monday through Friday at the same time, right here on your favorite Catholic radio station.
Don't forget to connect with us. Just go to Facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Again, that's Facebook.com/Catholic Drive Time.
Be sure to share more than just us today. Share Jesus with everyone you meet.
Bye now, and God love you.